everyone, it's Denise, and for today's video, I'll be knitting my first scarf, so come learn how to knit with me. To pick your yarn, on the bottom of the label, there will be a recommended needle size. I chose both my yarn that require 10mm needles. I also looked for bulky yarn because it's easier to manipulate. Bigger yarn and needles are better for beginners. I also chose bamboo needles so they're easier to grip the yarn. So now it's time for the cast on. Casting on is a way to make the stitches onto the needle. Leave a tail about 7 to 8 inches to make a slip knot. For my scarf, I'll be casting on 20 stitches. Make a loop, take the tail end through the loop, and pull on the second loop. And there we have our slip knot. And one more time. Take the needle through the slip knot, tightening it by pulling the tail end. Now we will be adding stitches. Making a gun with your pointer finger and thumb, pick up the yarn, flip your gun over, and slide the needle through the loop. And there we have our second stitch. It's up to you how many stitches you want. The more stitches, the wider the scarf. If you want a wider scarf, you can add stitches, or if you don't want a wide scarf, you can take off some stitches. Now that all the stitches are on, it's time for the knit stitch. With the other needle, grab the yarn with that hand. Push the needle through the first stitch. Support that needle with your left hand. Take the yarn and wrap it around the needle, and you want to make sure you're going behind the needle. Take your needle back with your right hand. Push the point of it down, picking up the yarn. Then drop off the stitch. Repeating the process again. Pushing the needle through, wrapping the yarn behind the needle, picking up the yarn, and dropping it off. Repeat this step until all your stitches are dropped off. Once you get used to holding your needle and yarn, I like to wrap my yarn around my middle finger. Once you have all the stitches on your right needle, now we are going to flip the needle around, moving the stitches from the right hand to the left hand. The left hand always holds the needle with all the stitches. The right hand holds the working needle. We're just going to repeat the process until the scarf is the length you want. Here we have my first almost completed scarf. the cast off, which is taking the scarf off of the needle. First 2 stitches are normal. Then take the left needle, grab the first stitch, and pull it over the second stitch. The right needle is going to pick up the second stitch, push through and drop off the first stitch, and there we have a cast off. So the next stitch is normal. Then we're going to be picking up the first stitch and pulling it over the second stitch. To continue on the cast off, you always have to have 2 stitches on the right needle. And now we have our last stitch on the right needle. We'll be taking the yarn and wrapping it around behind the needle. Now take the stitch and pull it over the yarn. Pick up the yarn with the needle and pull it completely through. Pull tight and there we have it. Lastly, we have to weave in the ends. Taking a tapestry needle, I'm just going to weave in the ends into the scarf. That's it for our scarf. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for our next video.